Are we going? There we go.
Rolling out with the future, electric dreams inside Justise, Ray and Phil light up the mic. From the latest in tech to the roads we pave, debating all things EV, the power we crave. Justise, Ray and Phil in electric quest. Watch, like, and subscribe. Be part of our guests. CarEdge Electric, where passions ignite. The show starts now. Embrace the EV life.
Oh man, I could listen to that all day.
We're all dancing, behind the scenes.
Exactly. Yeah.
Thank you. I do like our intros. I like them. I mean, we started them because I always see the people who don't pay for YouTube premiums complaints that they have to watch an ad before the show starts. So they miss the beginning of the show. So I have just placed the intro there. So those who have to watch the ads don't get to see the intro, but they don't miss any of the show.
Well, that is, you learn something every day about this newfangled technology and this world we live in. Thank you for sharing. Yeah.
Yeah. People have asked before why I have the intro here, and that was the only reason why. It just I read a lot of comments that people missed the beginning of the show.
Uh-huh.
And, we only talk about EVs in the first about 20% of the show. And then we spend the rest of the time talking about anything other than EVs. So I figured we should not keep people from missing that part of it.
That's true. So speaking of EVs, Phil and I, inquiring minds, want to know,
we do.
Are you really breaking up with Tesla?
Well, first, let me say, we'll sandwich this part in. I have been using the full self-driving that was given for free for a month. I've been using it for 3 weeks now.
Yes.
And for the last 2 weeks, I have not driven anywhere myself. The car has driven me everywhere I want to go.
That's no fun.
Including
to
Lucid for my appointment. I made Tesla drive me to Lucid.
That's very nice.
So that was fun. And we'll talk about my experience with full self-driving and whether I would pay for it after we discuss the whether or not.
Know. I'd like to know what you fully think about that.
Because we did it. The only time I had done it before, Phil, was riding in the car with you in Detroit.
Yep.
I had never had the courage to do full self-driving myself, or courage. I'm going to say courage. I didn't have, not that I have control issues, and would never be comfortable. But I never tried it before. But now, like I said, last 2 weeks I have not even driven across the street to the store on my own. I have let the car drive.
Wow!
Just because I wanted to see what that life would be like.
Well, you needed to experience it.
Yeah.
You at least needed to try it.
Yeah.
But first we will talk about my trip to Lucid.
Oh, you recorded it. Nice.
I recorded some, so you can't record the salespeople or anything they say.
Yes.
Which is a rule that they have. So we did that. This is the car that we test drove. It's got a great big test drive car on the side of it, which you can kind of see in there. It was the Lucid Air.
Yeah.
Yep. There you go. It
I like
was
the color.
It was. Yeah, I will tell you one of the most impressive features for me, as weird as is, the back seat and the trunk. The trunk is enormous.
Wow.
In this vehicle and has pass through. And the front, I will say this: the front is the only one that I've ever seen larger than mine.
Wow.
So it was really good. Lots of amazing storage
under the floor storage too, like that, huh?
Yeah, almost all EVs have that. But this one has a 210 volt or 110 volt in the back too, so you can do your tire inflating, all that.
Did they have like a lot of them there?
They had quite a few of them there. And that was one thing that I wanted to discuss too was as of this morning, I checked again this morning, and this may be telling or it may mean nothing. I don't know. But you cannot order a Lucid. If you go to the website and you click on order, it will show you existing inventory that you can take, and that is it.
Wow.
So maybe if you're
cars sitting around that they need to sell.
Yeah. I don't know if you can ask at the experience center for them to place the order for you, but currently online, you can't order a vehicle. You can only take existing inventory.
Wow. That is
interesting.
So I have some questions about that. The Gravity's not out yet, and I don't know if they're just going to go all in on that because the Gravity is their SUV, which everyone wants SUVs, and people aren't buying.
That actually looked decent when I saw it. I don't mind it.
Some of the points on the Lucid, obviously, it's a nice car. As Igor said last week, it is not a Mercedes drive quality. It just isn't. It's really nice, but it's not the same. It's not there. But it is. They have 3 different modes for driving, and aggressive is very, very much like driving my Tesla, and smooth is incredibly well smooth. The launch, the slowdown are just really, really, really smooth. You don't feel any, take off. You don't feel any pressure when you're stopping. It really is. And it was very, very nice ride. So I did enjoy that. When I put it to performance aggressive, it felt like my Tesla, launching and going through. One thing that impressed me, I had my buddy with me, and he sat in the front end of the driver's seat, and I think he's 6'2", 6'3". But he had the seat. I got in the back behind him. I'm 6'1". I had a lot of room above my head, and my knees were nowhere near the back of that seat.
Wow.
Nowhere near it. There was a lot so that back seat was designed really very, very well. It's very comfortable.
Can you fit three adult-sized human beings in that back seat?
Yes. The branch between it wasn't like the Model Y at all. It was not like that. Like it was.
I just laughed because I know what you're referencing.
Yeah,
and it was funny.
Well, but it was true.
It is true. It is.
But you can in the.
I know it's a very roomy back seat, which for $135,000 it better be.
It should be.
But it was designed really well. A lot of people there. A lot of people asking about the lease. The $600 a month lease.
Yeah, are you gonna? I want to hear. I want to know about that.
So I had to push pretty hard for them to get to even discuss that with me.
Really?
They were not very interested, and everybody was asking. Like I'm listening to the initial conversations from everybody. Almost every single person that was in there was asking about that lease. They were not real. Forthcoming and talking about it. And it was sort of like you were kind of bothering them. I felt, they didn't say that, but it's like, oh yeah, everyone's here for that. That's literally what one of the guys said and kind of how he said it. And I was like, oh, yeah, okay.
And they did have it. Price lease is going to bring people in.
Yeah. We kind of looked over the numbers and they didn't get it to $600 a month, but it was like $725. Which is still great for that car. Like
for $130,000 MSRP vehicle.
Jeez,
yes, that's
pretty incredible.
Or 100 to 130, whatever it was, right?
It's 18 month loan or an 18-month lease, and you have to take it from stock.
Yes,
obviously. And you had to do it on that day with a $5,000. Part of it was a $5,000 discount for doing it, that day from the stock actually at that center. But they were willing to do it. Now, the big question, did I trade in my Tesla? No. I did not.
But here's a question for you.
Mm-hmm.
Do you have the option to buy the vehicle at the end of the lease, or is there no lease and purchase option?
No, you can. You absolutely can.
Okay, because in a Tesla you can't.
Yeah, you cannot in a Tesla, but you can with a Lucid. You absolutely can buy it out, and some people do that. Now, could I buy it out? No.
Yeah.
I can't buy $100,000 out on the vehicle. Sorry.
What was the residual? Just out of curiosity.
I actually don't remember what it was because we got to the payment, and really, honestly, before I got there, my car payment right now is $0 a month. It was going to take a lot for me to get out of $0 a month.
Let me ask you this question though: if you were actually in the market for a car, and you saw that lease program, and you went over to the experience center, and you needed a car, do you think you would have done the Lucid?
At 18 months, I'm still on the fence on whether I would or not. At 36 months, I would have done it. At 36 months, I would have done it.
Wow.
But just because I can't afford to buy it out at the end, Phil. Like, I just can't, so get used to it for a year and a half, and then, I'd rather have
to give it back and be like, darn it, I really loved it, but I got to give it back now.
Because it was genuinely one of the nicest vehicles I've driven. I really loved the vehicle, and if I could afford it, I would do it. It just, for me, it really is looking at the end of the lease, not the during the lease. Is it worth it during the lease? Absolutely. That car is absolutely worth that for that lease money. But what happens at the end?
Did they have a pretty comparable at 36 months? Could they get close to that payment on a 36 months? I don't know. So
I didn't, I didn't go through into it with them. I mean, I can build it. When I built it online, it was $1,400 for 36 months.
Wow.
But there were a lot of day of incentives there for the leases, and I just didn't ask him about that because I can't go back to a car payment right now. I'm trying to save up to flee California, so I didn't want to add that monthly payment to it.
Hey, you know what? But that's okay, because at the end of the day, no payment, and you're still in a car that you love, and it drives itself.
Yes.
Just out of curiosity, what was it about the Lucid that you liked?
So it was definitely a luxury vehicle that Teslas are not.
Yeah.
We've discussed this many a time. The fit and finishes were very nice. The ride, like I said, I like having the options too on the ride on what kind of ride I wanted to feel and have. It was very intuitive still. I will tell you the thing that I didn't like, which you guys will disagree with me 100%, was I really, really hated the gauge cluster and having to look through the steering wheel to see all that information. I got very used to and spoiled with all my information on the center screen is so much easier for me. It's just so much easier. I don't like looking through the, at my height and where the wheel is comfortable for me, it's always been kind of awkward to look through the steering wheel to see those numbers. I hated that. And I don't like that screen setup they have on that either, which from what I understand from the salesperson, a lot of people don't like that screen.
Do they have buttons? Or
they do. They have a lot of buttons.
Oh, I think I like that car. Yeah.
And it's either or. So you have a button, or you can do it on the screen. You can do either one that you want to do.
Gotcha.
And like a traditional car, you have the radio buttons sort of on the dash and on the wheel or on the screen. So, there was lots of options.
Love that.
One of the things I liked about it was how many options that there were on it. There's no full self-driving on it. But there is all the safety features of lane assist and alerts and all that. So, it has all the modern features on it. But again, it's the fit and finish. The ride quality was really great. It felt 10 times larger than my Model 3, and it is larger than my Model 3.
It is larger.
Like when you get inside, like it's very, very, very spacious inside. And I like that. I would road trip, and I talked to the salesperson who lives up here, but is from Southern California, and he delivered a lot of vehicles, including delivering to Southern California. Mm-hmm. And I asked him my number one question: how many times do you have to charge up to get to Los Angeles? And the answer is 0.
Wow.
He did not have to stop. And when he got to LA,
he met a criteria for Justise.
And it was a criteria for me. Like,
yes.
So if you can get from Northern California, say from the Bay to Los Angeles without stopping and without charging, and when he got there, he had close to 100 miles, just under 100-mile range left. That's actually a really big deal to me. Like, I couldn't get that in most of my cars. I would have to stop, usually right before the Grapevine, to fill up and get over and get into Los Angeles. So, that's that 500-mile range, that mythical range that everyone targets, and that's what Lucid has. And that was a big selling point for me too. Like, I would love to have the option to not stop. Now, I always stop because my bladder is about that big.
Gotcha.
So I have to stop anyway. And you all know what I drink, right? You've all seen my water bottle.
So
you know how much I drink. So I have to stop anyway. But I do like the option that I don't have to stop. And if I stop, I can stop at a gas station, use the restroom, get back in and go. And not be like, okay, I have to stop at this charger. It is a thing for road tripping.
Does it have the ability to be charged at a Tesla charging station?
With an adapter.
Okay.
But I will say this, the Electrify America stations have more 350 kilowatt stations than Tesla does. So if you're able to go to an Electrify America that works and get 350 kilowatts, it would be really, really much faster to charge there.
Wow.
We're talking like 8 to 10 minutes.
Really?
To go from 10 to 80%.
Wow.
So, if you can get that, that would be a much better way to go if you can do that.
So realistically, I could get a new one and charge it right before my 18-month lease is up when I go to return it to them. And that would be the first time I'd ever probably have to charge it.
Yeah, and so all the forums I've read about phantom drain, Lucid does not have a problem like that. Most of the others, except for Tesla, have had some issues with phantom drain. I know Rivian has primarily fixed that. Ford still has some issues. So for you, Ray, in your lifestyle, as your car sits most of the time, you wouldn't have a lot of issues with that. Yeah, I don't think. Indeed. For my Tesla, the only time I really have issues with phantom drain isn't really that. It's when I have Sentry mode on, because the car is basically on the whole time recording everything. So of course that drains the battery because you have something running in the car at all times.
Are there things, software that your Tesla has other than full self-driving that a Lucid does not have?
Not that I could find. Now, I just did the one test drive, and I live with Tesla every day, so I couldn't find anything that Lucid, other than the full self-driving, which of course I've been focusing on, that Lucid didn't have. They had a much better sound system too.
What about Apple CarPlay, Android Auto?
Yep. So Lucid does have Apple CarPlay and satellite radio.
Wait, Tesla doesn't have satellite radio?
They do not.
Come on.
Nope.
I
satellite
didn't know radio. That. Oh my gosh.
No, okay. So yeah, those things were there. Now, in my Tesla, do I need Apple CarPlay? No. First, the Tesla map is fine. Apple Music is part of a Tesla.
Right.
So you have that, and Apple Podcasts is part of Tesla. So you have those. So there's absolutely no reason I've ever needed CarPlay in my Tesla.
Interesting. No satellite radio though.
Yeah, that is the only one that actually got me, because there are.
I wonder what the thought process was when they decided to make that choice.
It's all about weight.
Oh, it's the module. Anyway, I'm just
look. They're going for flush door handles for aerodynamics. It's all about weight on there. I thought, J-Mac, I thought of this after I left. I did not check to see if the Lucid had AM radio. Most EVs don't have AM radio. Was a big thing because of the extra weight in the antenna and such. So, yes, I thought of this too. And I'm waiting for Tesla to have
Starlink should be called Starlink radio. Yeah.
But no satellite in mind. So Lucid had everything else. It was
outside of the instrument cluster being situated where it was at. Anything else that you would change on it?
No, really, truly, it wasn't. There was not much else. The screen in the middle. I'm used to a really big screen, but they have 3 of them, and the one in the middle was a really nice size to do everything that I needed to do with it. Then it pops up and slides into the dash if you want to do storage behind it. It was more integrated. I'm not a fan of my car has the sort of glued on screen. Looks like you took an iPad and you glued it to the. I don't really care for that look. I like the Model S and X where it's part of the dash. I'm more of that kind of guy. But Lucid, of course, at that price point is all integrated and it looks really nice. No heads-up display though. Tesla doesn't
understand that.
Tesla doesn't do it either, and I'm always like, why, of all the tech that is out there, why we don't do heads-up display in EVs?
I don't understand that. I would have expected that on the Lucid. I truly would have.
I expect that on Tesla. Tesla is about tech. It's really more about tech than it's about anything, right?
Yes.
And no heads-up display.
On the Tesla, you don't have that instrument cluster right in the front of you, right? So I feel like you kind of have to
put a module right there.
So just put put a heads up so that you can look straight and see how fast you're going, and not have to look to the center of the dashboard.
That's interesting.
Yeah, I would heads-up display. I would really prefer, and I like that. I would say yes with the BMW and Lexus, not with Mercedes on the luxury side of it. It's about BMW, Lexus-ish. Yeah, I think it fits there. I've been into more high-end Mercedes than low-end Mercedes, so that's kind of where I compare it to. It's not quite there on the high-end. I don't know about the low-end Mercedes. I just haven't been in a lot of them. But BMW, easily that kind of quality. Lexus, that kind of quality. Easy. Probably a little bit bigger than that.
Yeah. 1989 Pontiac Grand Prix had HUD. They did.
Yeah.
That car, that was. I totally remember that car, and I think they had a digital dash on it too. And they just had there was a center in the center column just underneath the radio. It had a computer that told you if your doors were open or told you any some other parameters of the car, but it was ahead of its time in terms of its technology and the way that it was actually laid out in the car. It was cool. I liked it. It was one of my childhood cars that I liked.
Did you know that in a Chrysler product, instead of it letting you know that the door was open, the voice would always say to you, your door is ajar.
Yeah,
your door is ajar. And I used to sit there and go, no, my door is a door. It is not a jar. Okay.
Yes.
It is it might be open, but it didn't suddenly turn into a jar. And that used to just drive me crazy. Absolutely true. Your door is ajar. No, it's not.
They told me that at the same time that they put my seatbelt on.
Yes.
For me across the door. That was,
Oh, I remember.
None of us like any of those, which is why none of that exists anymore.
Yes.
And Ray, that didn't last very much long after, because it wasn't really accepted very well.
No,
that whole voice.
Yes,
it was not.
Yes.
So here's another comment that I've had for a long time too. Big gripe with Tesla is they don't have a bird's eye view camera. They have all those cameras all over the car. I can see everything, but they have no top-down view on it. And Lucid did. I love the top-down view. And yes, I am always very disappointed that my car, for whatever reason, there's no reason why Teslas don't have top-down view other than they just haven't put the software in for it. Because they have all the cameras and all the views for it.
Right.
They just don't do it. And the Lucid does. And it is nice. And it's easier to park that way, particularly in your larger urban environments where parking spaces are very narrow. I've used that so many times in Los Angeles and rental vehicles and stuff to get into spaces I was pretty sure I wasn't going to be able to get into otherwise.
Wow. Does it have like the technologies to parallel park itself and things like that?
Yes.
Wow. Okay.
Both vehicles do. My Tesla will do that too.
Yeah. Yeah. Even my Mini does that. I don't know how to work the damn thing, but it says it'll do it if I figure out how to work the damn thing. Yeah.
So if I'm in my Tesla and I start lining it up, there's a little blue box that appears, and if I pull into that blue box, it'll do the rest of it, or I can get out and it'll park if it's like the space is too tight and stuff.
Wow.
I've used, so that was one of the upgrades with the full self-driving that I've used that I really enjoy a lot, because I've had a few times where people park just too close to me. I'm in, so those who know the geography of Sacramento, we're halfway between a city and a cow town. So we have nice vehicles and we have still lots of really big trucks, which are also very nice. I'm not knocking the trucks, but like, we have a lot of Mercedes and Ferraris and lots of Maybachs and stuff that I've seen. And then we have lots of F-250s and giant lifted Tacomas for some reason. So we're kind of a mix there. And sometimes I'll park in a space and then two giant trucks will park on either side of me. And that while they may be centered in that space, the car is just so wide that like there's no room for me to get in and out. And I've used that 3 times on my Tesla now where I'm just like, I can't get into that. So, I mean, I probably could squeeze, but I didn't want to. So I just have it back out. I'm like, okay. And I get in and, drive away. Twice I've had it come to me in a parking lot under Smart Summon. So where I'm not right next to it, I just summon it over to me. That did not work well. Either time. So I just say I ended up walking to the car.
Okay.
That
when you do that, is there a little thing that pops out in the front that looks like a finger that's going like this? Come here.
It just, I will tell you that Smart Summon takes so long to get there.
Really?
It's backing out and it's kind of going these ways, and I was just like, okay, I could just walk to you in the time it took you to back out of that space. Wow. So that just wasn't. Maybe I'm an impatient person. I mean, I am an impatient person, but like I can't do the Smart Summon thing with it. And I will say this on the full self-driving portion of it, it has gotten better over the 2 weeks. It's the 3 weeks that I've been using it the last 2 weeks.
What do you mean when you say it's gotten better? What do you mean when you say
so
that?
I've had 2 software updates in that amount of time. Okay. And full self-driving has gotten better each time. So I think Tesla's using all of the data to improve certain things. Because at first, when I was first using it, it would not start braking until long after I would slow down if I was driving.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm I don't call me a grandpa driver. I don't know. But I'm a person who just sort of, in an ice car, I take my foot off the gas and start slowing down long before I'm actually there. I like to save my brakes when I can and don't just wait to the last second to apply my brakes. The Tesla definitely was a 16-year-old driver where just wait to the last second before starting to apply the brakes. And even as a driver, I'm like, okay. Like, what are you doing?
I think that's what gave me a little bit of anxiety around the full. It's like, okay, is that going to stop? Is that going to stop? Do I need to intervene? Like, that's part of the anxiety of it.
Yeah,
coming
there
up
was
on
a lot of
on
that.
another vehicle.
Yep, and there was a lot of that, Phil. Like in Detroit, as passenger, when you did that, I was like, "What are you doing?
Like,
why are you?"
Hold on! Like,
and then we took that curve in Detroit, and it was going full speed, and like, oh my God, what are you doing? They have fixed all of that. Now it is coming to a stop slower. When it picks up and goes from the stop, it is not just launching the vehicle every time anymore. And it was at first. It was just like, okay, how fast can we get up to the speed limit?
Yeah.
Like taking off through the intersection. It was like, what are you doing? It still has trouble with turning right on a red, which is to say that it does it, but it does it so slowly that every car behind you gets really, really pissed off.
Yeah. Okay.
And even I'm like, okay, what are we waiting for? Let's go. Like, I was like, what do you? So when we have to turn right on a red, if there's anyone behind me, I just take over now because it just won't.
Yeah.
And I get it. It has to do it. So there was that thing that was, we all call the California roll, where, you come to a stop sign. If there's no one there,
yes,
may or may not stop entirely. You just sort of,
oh, come on. That's an everywhere roll.
Yeah.
That's not a California roll.
And that's what it was called. And that's literally what the lawsuit was about. And Tesla had that and they had to turn it off because of course it's not legal. And then coming to a four-way stop is as frustrating in a self-driving car as it is when you're driving yourself. I always say this. Yeah. I love people when they're courteous and kind, except at a four-way stop. Then just follow the effing law and go. Stop being kind.
It's a four-way stop and a roundabout. No one knows how to operate either one of them. It's frustrating.
So, and I get that, but at a four-way stop, Tesla does it properly, but it kind of hesitates too long. So sometimes people go because they're waiting for you, but Tesla wants to make a complete and full stop and blah, blah, blah.
So let me ask you a silly question. When your free trial is up at $99 a month, are you going to subscribe to it?
I am not.
Why?
I'm not, because one, the right-hand turn, two, it has to follow the laws too much. Which is to say, no.
What are you
I'm sorry, but that's not how we drive in California.
Law-abiding citizen? What the hell?
I'm sorry, it's just not how we drive in California, and all you're doing is pissing everybody off and getting into an accident. It's a lot like, Phil, if I was in Detroit, it's a lot like I just went the speed limit. You know how dangerous that would be in Detroit? I learned that you can't go the speed limit. Not even in the slow lane is that fast enough in Detroit. Right? So, but if the Tesla's like, oh, well, we only go the speed limit, holy crap, you're going to piss people off there. It's kind of like that here. It's just, there are rules of the road. And I would be very curious to see self-driving in LA. I might try to get down there before, but anyone who drives in LA knows you don't turn left until the light's red. And you need to be in the middle of the intersection. Phil, there's no other way to do it. Yeah, you have to be in the middle of the intersection waiting for traffic, and then the light turns red, and then you have a moment to go. So I don't know with Tesla following the legal laws how that works. Because if you're staying behind the line until you can turn, you're never going to turn.
Wow.
Yep.
Wow.
So there is something to be said about rules of etiquette where you're driving and how that works. There's the law, and then there's how everybody drives. And I know it sounds silly, but that's the rules of everywhere you drive. Everywhere is a little bit different.
On a 2-lane road, if the car in front of you is waiting to make a left-hand turn, will the Tesla automatically move over to the right and pass on the right, say on the shoulder, which like everybody does and is illegal?
No, I can tell you right now, no, it will not move to the shoulder. It will even sometimes if there's on a 2-lane road, if there's a car coming at you and there's a bicycle,
yes,
and you can move and just be slightly over the line, it won't. It'll stop behind the bicycle.
Wow.
And just go. So it follows the law.
Okay.
Period. And there are times where that's kind of a problem, honestly. It's a problem as far as what we're used to and what we're comfortable with and our aggression as drivers go. It's not really a problem for actually getting somewhere.
Yeah.
It's safe and it does what it's supposed to do. And I've had zero issues of it. That's not true at all. That's a complete lie. I've had one issue that it keeps coming up with, which is there's one intersection near me up in Roseville that has a 3-way right turn, and one of them can go straight or left turn, not right turn. And the other two just do left turns, and it gets confused on those lanes. And both times that I've approached it, it just stops and says take over.
This is, we don't know what to do here.
Yeah. And the other issue I had in the beginning was every 45 to 60 seconds, it was telling me to make an adjustment on the wheel to tell me to say that I was paying attention to the road like you're supposed to. And at 45 to 60 seconds, I went, why would I ever have full self-driving?
Exactly.
Why? That's just me paying attention to the road and the screen. And that's more work for me. But that has been fixed a little bit. Plus I have learned if I put my sunglasses on, it can't see my eyes because that is part of what Tesla does. And I drove 3 miles home the other day. It didn't ask me to adjust the wheel once because it couldn't see my eyes.
Wow.
And I think when it's looking at my eyes, I'm looking down at the screen a lot because I'm looking to, get the notification to make the adjustment on the wheel. And I'm looking at the road, and I guess I have squinty, beady little eyes. I don't know because it keeps thinking I'm not paying attention. But I put my sunglasses on, and it doesn't seem to happen.
So you are not going to continue when the free trial's over?
Unless in the next week they fix the right-hand turn, which is my big one because I do a lot of. I'm a former delivery driver. I started my career in food service back when we delivered in pizza. Yeah. You learn, take every single right turn you can. If you have to pass 2 left-hand turns to make a right turn, it is better than sitting and trying to make a left turn. Exactly. So that was beaten into me really early into my career in delivery driving. So, and I still do it to this day. It's just faster to take a right-hand turn, unless you're in a full self-driving car that needs to come to a complete stop, wait, check to make sure that nobody's crossing, be hesitant about what the other cars are doing. Like, I might as well be stopped waiting for a left-hand turn at this rate. So for me, that really is a big one, just for me personally.
So let's assume for a second that they correct that. and it becomes much more responsive, more a human response to it.
Mm-hmm.
Would you then spend the $1,200 a year in order to have your full self-driving mode?
$1,200 a year, I would. $2,400 a year, I would not.
Okay, just
Put it
curious.
that way.
Was there any mention it'll go to $200 a month? Or
well, it was
It
200
used to be.
until just
oh, it was.
yeah,
I'm
yeah.
sorry.
It was
Okay.
199 until about a month ago, and then maybe even 3 weeks ago. And then they
Yeah,
dropped it to
okay.
$99 a month, which is a
And
much
can you
much
ju-
better
you
deal.
you can subscribe to it at any time?
Yes, yes,
It's
and
interesting.
I had thought about that too. Here's the real one, Ray. I may not subscribe to it until I get to the month where I go to LA,
yes,
which is about once a quarter. I might subscribe to it for that month that I go down there
yes,
because I tend to drive by myself.
yes.
And having sort of that auto cruise on the freeway to get me there would be nice. It's a little more relaxing.
I agree with that.
And I have gotten a lot more relaxed with it than I was in that first week. It was so much of, I was so nervous about every single thing. And it was just like, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. I wouldn't have gotten it if that's how I felt all the time. But that's why the last 2 weeks, I've just let it drive me everywhere. So I get a lot more comfortable. Because I will tell you, most of the problems are with me, not the car.
But don't you think that as people become more and more relaxed with it, that's where the issues can creep in that when it suddenly becomes time for you to really have been paying attention, it might be too late once you do pay attention?
Well, yes and no. It depends. So the big thing on the Tesla specific full self-driving is they use cameras only.
Yeah.
Right. So, for example, the other day I was pulling out of my apartment complex, and I'm sort of right before the crest of a hill. It's a tiny hill,
Yeah,
but it
it's
is
a hill.
enough that when I pull out and there's cars parked on the side of the road, I can't really see what's coming from the left.
Gotcha.
I kind of have to pull out into the street a little bit to see what's coming to the left. Thus, without radars, neither can Tesla. And the other day I pulled out, could not quite see if there was a car coming. I can see them if they're far enough down the road, but if they're just in this about 8 car length spot, I can't see them. So
is there ever going to be a time where Tesla's going to incorporate both the camera and the radar system combined?
No, they got rid of the radar. They have gone the other way. My car has radar, but the full self-driving doesn't use it. But in my model year, we still had it's LiDAR. But
wouldn't it be more comprehensive if they use both systems together?
Yes, but for weight and everything else, and Elon Musk does not. Elon Musk does not think that is the way forward.
Weight, safety, I don't know.
So from Tesla's point of view, people drive by their eyesight, so that's what the car is going to do. I may disagree with them. I do disagree with them because I don't have. So, for example, I don't have cross traffic alert when I'm backing up, unless the camera can see it. So if the camera can't see it, like in the case of I'm pulling out the other day and this guy speeding along and looking at his phone while he's driving down my residential street next to a park, which is a block from a school, and he's going about 10 miles an hour over the speed limit, and he just flies out, and then, of course, honks at me as if I'm the one who's a problem here.
Yeah.
But Tesla did not warn me of that either, because that camera could not see that car. So that's my big issue on that one, is if it was using the LiDAR, it would have actually stopped. And I've had that just in my regular, from the warnings and stuff. Tesla is really good about warning you and then applying brakes, and those cases, Ray, it will go off into the shoulder if it needs to. If it's an emergency situation, it'll do all of that. And that's all just fine, but only if the camera can see it.
Gotcha. Okay. Interesting stuff. Now, if Lucid comes out with an inexpensive Lucid that offers full self-driving, do you think you would consider that at some point?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, I would. And I will say this, the more self-driving gets common, which is to say the more cars that become self-driving, yes, I think the less issues we have. Almost every single problem, not everyone, but almost every single problem self-driving has had has been some human did something that the car did not expect them to do.
Gotcha.
So not all of them. Now, there was that thing with Teslas in the beginning where they would see fire trucks and they would record that fire truck as a billboard.
Yes.
So it would just fly right into it. I think most of those problems have been addressed now, but the vast majority of them are a human did something else and has created a problem.
Wow. Very cool.
But yeah, for 99, if they fix the right-hand turn, I would do it. Or if I'm going down to LA, I think it would be very useful. And I am really curious to see how it runs in a city like LA, who you can't drive by the law because you would just be sitting parked on the side of the road.
I hear you. Wow.
Yep.
That's I would say, if I may, that this was a pretty damn comprehensive review of both the Lucid and full self-driving in your Tesla. Well done.
Yeah. This was the most EV show.
Can we do more of these? I'll specifically take a day and just go to a dealership and I'll test drive a few EVs.
Yeah.
Let's come back and talk to them like that.
I would love to have all of us, we can get into test drives and talk about our test drives. Like I said, I do it all the time. I'd never think to really record it or to talk much about them because I like to drive everything. And there's a new Rivian shop close to me, and I have not yet driven a Rivian, believe it or not.
Hey.
Well, I would have to look into that. As long as I don't have to drive too far to get somewhere.
$100 a month, that is almost as expensive as Netflix.
What are you? What is Stewart paying for? Like 43 family members in there? I mean, come on.
He clearly has the ad-free version of Netflix.
Yeah, right.
I agree. I am way too much in all of my subscriptions, but for my car, I might do it. Like if you add up
everything is a subscription nowadays. Everything. You can't own anything anymore. Pretty soon, as we've all talked about before, there's going to be a day when cars are just going to become a subscription, and you just that's it. You just
that's kind of almost where Tesla is trying to go, right? All this full self-driving, releasing it for a month for everybody and taking it to $99. That's all designed to get the robo-taxi business off the ground. That is 100% of what it is. And that is just a monthly subscription program at that point, right? That's what the robo-taxi is going to be. So even Tesla's going there. That's what it's
everybody's going there.
Yeah,
everyone is.
You know what time it is,
Ray? What are you having for lunch?
Yeah, what are you eating?
I believe there are 2 pieces of gefilte fish with some red horseradish sauce and some matzah today. And that'll be my lunch before I go for my walk. Yeah.
Awesome.
I don't think I've ever had
is it nice today?
What was that?
I never have either.
Yeah.
Oh, you kids have no idea what you're missing. It's to take a fish, to boil it, to do whatever it is they do, chop it up and form it into balls of. I mean, Mike, who wouldn't want that? Anybody in their right mind? But for me, I think it's kind of tasty. So what do I know?
Cool.
Yeah.
Cool. I
And
like
then,
it. Ray, what's the watch? Oh, what's this one?
The watch today is this is a Theorema. It's made by Tufina, which is a German watch company. And this has, oh my God, this watch, this was one of my first watches that I ever bought that I fell, and it was I think it was $299. It has the day, the month, the date, and I can set it for various other cities around the world.
Really?
Why I would want to do that, I have no idea. And it's automatic, and I've had this for, I want to say 3.5 years now, and it is still one of my favorite watches because I think it's kind of like got a nice classic look to it.
I like it.
Yeah,
it's a very sharp watch. I like it.
Yeah, and I looked at it today and I said, I haven't worn this one in a while, and so I threw it on today, and that is today's watch. It's a Theorema, whatever, something made by Fina, which is a German watch company, and they have Theorema and they have Pioneer as their brands, and then they name all their watches after cities. And I have no idea what city this particular watch was named after because I don't remember, but it is truly one of my favorite watches. There you have it.
Love it. Thank you for sharing, Ray.
My absolute pleasure. Yeah.
I will say this, Ray, as far as the setting the time to other cities.
Yes.
I have a separate clock on my computer that tells me what time it is on East Coast.
Yeah, but let me ask you,
it's very important that I know
it's the right time.
I can add
it's the right time.
Pretty easy, but
are you strapping your computer to your wrist? I mean,
I am not. I rarely do that. I even have an Apple Watch. I have a second generation Apple Watch that I wear probably twice a year for a day.
Well, I
have never gotten any new ones because what's the point?
I can tell you that I don't have an Apple Watch. I don't have any other type of smartwatch.
Do you have a Fitbit? I was going to ask you the other day. Do you have a Fitbit?
I do not have a Fitbit.
You don't have any?
I don't have any smartwatches. I have a smartphone, but I don't need to like suddenly look at my wrist and read my emails.
Yeah,
I don't.
I will tell you, I never use that on my watch. I have looked at text messages stuff.
Well, no, I no. That's what the phone's for.
But sometimes it's not something you need to. You're busy, like mainly when I was in restaurants, especially, and a message would come up. I'd look at it. Is that something I have to respond to right now? No, great. I can move on with my day.
No, I get it.
Now that I sit behind a desk on my butt for a living, it's not really necessary. But when I was busy, I only asked Ray if you had a Fitbit because I know you're out there walking now and doing a lot.
Yeah, but I don't need a Fitbit to walk.
No. But if you had a Fitbit, we could compare steps each day.
I don't
because I need to be out there walking too.
Yeah, well, you could just use your smartphone. It'll tell you what you've done.
It does.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't need a Fitbit, although I did buy a Fitbit for my daughter, but that's besides the point. Yeah. But I'm not, I am not your typical tech guy. I'm just not. I mean, if you were to go through my watch collection, there's not one digital watch in my watch collection. So
I still have my Casio watch somewhere here from when I was a kid, and it had a little calculator on it.
I remember those. I've never had one, but I remember. I'm getting hungry. Damn it!
All right, we're over. So everyone, tune in next week where we will have David on, who is going to tell us about his trip in Florida in his ID4.
Yes.
So, we've already gotten an update, but now next week you all will get an update with us.
Yes.
On that show. Looking forward to that show next week. And then Ray, go have a nice lunch. Phil, I'll talk to you.
I'll see you later today.
And I'm pretty sure, if I may, I don't think I'll be on the show next week because that's next week. Yeah, next week I'll be on. The following week.
Following week. Yes.
Yeah. I get so confused, with my.
Next week you'll be here.
Yes.
Preparing to not be here for another week.
Yeah, preparing to take a train to my daughter's house on Saturday, so that we can then fly to Puerto Rico on Sunday. Yes, that
sounds like a fun trip.
So. I hope so. Damn it. Yes.
Yeah.
I have to look up those restaurants Cloapo listed for me so I can make reservations for a week from Monday.
All right. See everybody next week.
Yep. Thank you, everybody. Thank you, Bill. Thank you, Justice.
Thank you, Ray.